Failure is the catalyst to your success. Fail fast and fail forward because your best stories and your best evidence is going to come from that. Overcoming your failures. The most successful people always speak to their low moments and how they overcame them. And that's why you relate with them so much. Failure is the fastest way to succeed. And I know you may be thinking that that's a contradiction, but think about it. My best stories, my best pieces of content all come from my failures, honestly. People don't want to hear all the time about how successful I am, how much money I make. I get it. They want to hear about the shit that I went through so that I'm able to get to where I am today. Because let's be real, people connect with pain. People understand that on a deeper level. And this is exactly what we're going to be talking about today in this episode. You want to move away from pain and towards pleasure. So you're going to connect deeply with the pain and the story because you want to hear the overcome, right? So what we teach people is a 3-act structure. So in the beginning, right, the character faces some sort of conflict, right? And then they're kind of at this point of inflection where they're like, what do I do? And then the ending is that the character is overcome or the character overcomes. And these are what makes the best stories. And this is why failure is, first of all, inevitable. And second of all, failure is the catalyst to your success. Because once you fail, you're trying to move away from pain and you're like, I never want this to happen to me again. So you're going to move towards how can I avoid that situation? So that's going to lead to change. So the first thing I want to touch upon is how much it matters to fail quickly. So like we said already, failure is inevitable. You're going to fail in your life and that's okay. The best people have a graveyard of failures behind them, including myself. I would not be able to come on here and say this podcast, YouTube video, wherever you're watching it, if I was not having all these failures behind me. If I didn't post so many podcasts or videos that make me cringe, just go back and stalk me from a couple years ago and you can see for yourself. Your ability to fail fast is what's going to make you the most successful in your journey. So let's think of it like this. Let's say that you put your finger on the stove, on the hot stove, and you burn your hand, right? Probably have done that when you're little or some mistake similar to that. So how do you learn not to touch the hot stove? Well, you touch the hot stove, you burn your finger, and then you realize, oh shit, I never want that to happen again. This is the same thing in your business. When you fail, just look at it as, okay, this is a learning lesson. This is going to make a great story. And now that this happened, probably won't happen again because I don't want to feel the same pain. And I'm going to do something different this time to avoid that. So instead of avoiding failure or fearing failure, which is literally the number one objection that I get from people, I'll poll my audience all the time and I'll be like, what is the number one thing holding you back from where you want to be? You have to understand and accept that failure is inevitable. Failure is the catalyst to your success. Fail fast and fail forward because your best stories and your best evidence is going to come from that. Overcoming your failures. The most successful people always speak to their low moments and how they overcame them. And that's why you relate with them so much. You see, it held me back so long in my entrepreneurial journey because I was so afraid of failing. I was so afraid of judgment. I was so afraid what people were going to think of me, especially people from my hometown. I'm like, well, what about if I post on social media and everyone makes fun of me? Well, they were going to make fun of me anyways. So it's just more important to do the thing you want to do because people are going to talk. People are going to send you around the group chat. People are going to do the things. But you have to just understand that that is the first step in the journey because at first, people are going to judge you and then they're going to ask you how you did it. Now, I'm going to share with you a little bit of a story. So when I was working my corporate job, I was a financial advisor and I had to get licensed to become a financial advisor. What I did was I had to take these 3 really big exams. So the first 2 exams, I took them super seriously, right? Like studying hardcore. And I was like, I'm going to succeed. I'm going to succeed. Now the 3rd exam, I got super comfortable and I was like, oh, I knocked the first 2 out of the park. Like the 3rd one's going to be a piece of cake. What happened? I failed the exam. That was one of the worst pain I ever felt in my life because I felt like I let everyone down. But really, the only person I let down was me, was because I got too cocky a little bit. I was like, well, I'm definitely going to pass this exam. And I remember just being so ashamed. And I was like, what happened? Like so much judgment. I was like, I can't believe this. And I failed by like 1 or 2 points. So it was like really, really upsetting. And I just kind of got to this point where I was like, I can't believe I just did that. I was like, I can't believe that I just failed this exam that I've been studying for over a month. Like I could have worked harder, right? You start replaying it all in your mind. And it was just one of the worst feelings, the worst pit in my stomach I'd ever had. And you see, because of that experience, I tried 10 times harder for the second one because I wanted to avoid that pain. I never want to feel that pain again. And the same thing happened in my business. One time in my business, I had a near $0 launch. So I invested in a coach. I learned how to relaunch with confidence and leadership. And the next launch I had was a $50,000 launch. All of this stuff matters. Your inputs will equal your outputs. So if you show up with the energy of, I got this, like I can do this, right? Because your energy is so important. So when I had that failed launch, I was not in the best energy, but I was like, I'm going to do it anyways. Same thing with failing my exam. I was in this like cocky or this like arrogant energy versus like, you know what? I'm going to do my best and I'm going to try my best. I worked hard. I was feeling like, did I really work hard? Right? Like questioning myself. So understand, right? Failure is inevitable. Of course, you're not going to plan to fail, but it's going to happen. So when you do fail, you want to fail fast and you want to fail forward. So biggest takeaway for you in this season is to just befriend failure. Understand that it's a part of your journey. It's going to happen. And just remind yourself that the best people succeed beyond their failures, the people who push through, because you cannot fail if you do not quit. And anytime I fail or I struggle or I deal with something, I actually just go and watch some inspirational YouTube videos. I listen to some of my favorite podcasts. Maybe you want to listen to this podcast. And I really just think to myself, if this person's gone through it and they can persevere, I know that I can too. This may feel like it's the worst thing in the world, but people have been through worse and they've still persevered. So fail forward, fail fast, because it is the catalyst of your success.